Welcome in, Illinoisprep.com 7A bracket preview. Skylar King alongside Eric Seals. As always, you can hit us up at Skylar iPrep, at Eric iPrep on Twitter. We're going to jump right in here. And in 7A, there are a ton of not just good teams, but programs. When you say the name, you're like, that's a team or a program that you expect to be playing in a state championship game.
Exactly.
And to me, really the only first-round matchup, as I look at it, there's maybe another one that really warrants talking about. 8-9, Wheaton South, Providence. I mean, how do we not go to that game?
That is going to be a huge game. I think out of all the first-round games, that's the one that everybody's going to be looking at. I mean, you got Chicago Catholic League, DuPage Valley Conference, and it took me a long time to figure out who I was going to give the W to that one.
Yeah, see, the reason I picked Providence, and I know you did too, was Wheaton South's got to prove it to me that they can balance it out with the pass.
Yep.
Because as good as Dan Vitale is, I mean, when you talk about the Catholic Blue and the private Catholic schools in general, I'd put my money down on them being better tacklers than anyone else in the state.
I agree.
And so Vitale, he's not going to get the same broken tackles that he got even in the DVC, which is a good conference, but it's not this level.
No, and Providence going against Mount Carmel, going against St. Rita, not as much as Loyola, but they're used. You're right. They're used to people running at them, and obviously when they just beat Mount Carmel, show that they can take a powerful running attack down. And
Greer's no joke back then.
No, without a doubt. And seeing Wheaton South against Wheaton North definitely threw a concern in my head.
Well, again, I said it on our recap show. You had said we can't run him 35 times against good teams.
No.
Well, look out
Providence
because you got one.
Yeah.
Round one at home.
It'll be interesting to see what quarterback is starting. Graham, the sophomore quarterback, definitely showed some good things. So they might be able to bring something to the table that nobody has seen on tape this whole year.
Yeah, and I think they need to because and I think it's interesting when you look at not just those two teams, but Lincoln Way East. That's a team we saw. Really not a team. They exposed Bolingbrook a little bit, but really not a team that's probably comfortable opening it up with the pass.
Exactly.
So we could.
They have a dominant wide receiver, but the game that they played against, at least that we saw them against Bolingbrook, it was their lineman that was toting the rock for them, doing a good job too.
The other one I think that Warren's talking about, Addison Trail hosting Carmel.
Yeah.
Addison Trail's a team that's really come out of nowhere this year, but really has played great defense. Only lost 14-0 to Glenbard West, and then just beat Josh Williams and company in Week 9.
Yeah, I mean, again, another first-round matchup that's going to be really big. I think whoever wins that game could possibly have an easier second-round game.
Yes.
But I pick Carmel in this game, and I just think that Addison Trail, their defense is been doing really good, but Carmel has a lot of options as far as offense.
To me, it's the balance. It's because it's not like Carmel's defense is full of holes. How is Addison Trail going to score on Carmel?
Exactly.
And so that's why Carmel, more offensive weapons, two good defenses, maybe an elite defense in Addison Trail, but too much running backs for Carmel.
And if you want to throw into, what did the team do last year? Addison Trail, a team we haven't heard about that much in, the last X amount of years. Carmel, kids from last year, they were in the playoffs. They know what to do.
They expect to go deep.
And that playoff experience is going to be huge.
So then we basically have agreement until the quarters.
Yep.
Our quarters look like this. Lincoln Way East, East St. Louis.
Yep.
O'Fallon Rita.
Yep.
Glenbard West Conant.
I have Elk Grove.
Yeah. And then Wheaton North Carmel for me.
And I have Jacobs Carmel.
But in this quarterfinal, I have got Lamontez Ivy and company marching on to the semis, and you've got Lincoln Way East.
And the reason I have Lincoln Way East is because the coaching is very, very, very good at Lincoln Way East, and they showed that they can take away a team who has a mobile quarterback, who can move all over the field because they beat Bolingbrook, however you want to say it, but they beat Bolingbrook, and East St. Louis was supposed to be one of their most impressive teams. They lost early in the year. It'll be interesting to see how they match up against this type of defense, this type of team.
To me, East St. Louis, from what we saw, better coaching than Bolingbrook. I think that's one of the differences. The other difference, way better wide receivers than Bolingbrook.
Yes.
And Ivy can do both. I think he'll do, and his linemen will do a better job of giving him time when he's in the pocket and being able to escape when necessary. I think the big difference, though, is the comfort for the passing game for East St. Louis.
Yes.
Because, you want a full house blitz, Lamontez Ivy?
Go ahead.
I think the talent they have on the perimeter is certainly fine with that.
Okay.
They'll run some slants, some quicks, and they'll run forever. And I think that we were both really impressed with the discipline and the tackling of East St. Louis.
Very much so.
And again, they better get that passing game going because I don't think those runs by the linemen are going to happen against East St. Louis.
No, I don't think so. But Lincoln Way East, I think they've had a harder a conference, even though the conference isn't that much. Right. But the people that they played throughout the year to be conference champs is a little harder, I think, than East St. Louis is going on.
Other than the Georgia team.
Yeah, that Georgia team. They were pretty good.
Yeah, big time quarterfinal. Probably I think the best quarterfinal in 7A. So I've got East St. Louis playing St. Rita in the semis.
And I have Lincoln Way East, obviously.
And then I've got Carmel over Wheaton North and Glenbard West over Conant. So Carmel, Glenbard West.
And I have Carmel over Jacobs and then Glenbard West over Carmel.
And so I've actually got East St. Louis. Speaking of, if this game happens, East St. Louis Rita or Lincoln Way East Rita, that'll be a heck of a game.
Yeah.
And then Glenbard West Carmel, probably the best semifinals.
That would be very good.
We'll see here.
That'll be very good.
And I've got East St. Louis losing to Glenbard West in the state championship game.
I have Glenbard West beating Lincoln Way East.
So, in other words, 7A, look out. Tommy Shutt is coming. You're going to get enough Kendall Johnson.
Yep.
Hibben on the outside. Again, who's going to score 3 touchdowns on Glenbard West defense? I think to have a chance to beat them, you're going to have to find a way to score 3 touchdowns, or as we talked about, special teams, or scoring a defensive touchdown against Glenbard West.
Yeah. Glenbard West, I think everybody's been kind of saying it from the beginning of the year. It's their year compared to what was happening with William Warrenville South the last 2 years. I think they know it. Everybody kind of knows it. And I don't think they're laying down. They're not just like, oh, we hope it happens. They're like, we're taking it this year.
And I think Chad Hetlett whoever talked about Glenbard West before Chad Hetlett got there?
Yeah.
He's gotten there. He's instilled the confidence and, the work ethic. And, obviously some talent helps. Tommy Shutt.
Without a doubt.
Jordan Walsh, these guys. But at the end of the day, Hetlett's the leader. He's got him to a state championship a couple years ago, lost in overtime to Wheaton South. This is the time, and we both think the Hilltoppers are going to seize it and win a state title. Yep. So I guess we talked about it with Nazareth in 6A. What's that game that, if you're Chad Hetlett, you're sweating out the most? Is it Carmel?
I think it would be Carmel.
Carmel?
Looking at all the teams that they're playing before that, I don't think they'll have a problem with Mount Prospect. I think they're going to play Geneva after that. You said Conant, I said Elk Grove.
Right.
Carmel, I think, will be just because Carmel has the experience, but Glenbard West has just as much experience in this. So I think it'll be a like team that will be that game.
The reason I think it's going to be whoever they play in a state championship game, potentially between East St. Louis and Lincoln Way East, even more than Rita or Carmel, is power running game plays right into the hands of Tommy Shutt and Company.
That's true.
Lamontez Ivy and the wide receivers for East St. Louis give them an element that makes them more of a threat to Glenbard West defense.
Worried about that weather, though. We know it's going to be end of November. It's going to be cold, and East St. Louis more of a southern team than a northern team. Are they going to be able to play their type of offense in that weather?
But
not going to be sunny.
It's not like Champagne's.
But hold on, think about this.
The weather's not
7A. That's that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be late. It's going to be cold. It gets cold out there.
Yeah, but we saw. How was Wheaton South done for the last couple of years? Power running game.
But Riley O'Toole's a freak.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Lamontez Ivy is going to be a Division I quarterback.
He is.
It's not like he's a pushover.
No.
I like the ball he throws. I think it would hold up pretty well against the wind, better than really almost any other quarterback.
Well, it depends. You know, it'll be interesting to see how cold it is. Is it snowing? You know, do we have like rainy type of weather? That rain, sleet, snow, that type of the year.
Yeah, that is not good for the
that
passing
will
game.
end East St. Louis's pass game. And Tommy Shutt will just be, you know, like, let's go.
Putting on the war paint.
I'm telling you. So,
yeah, I think East St. Louis the type of team that would most likely to give Lombardo
I
West
agree
trouble.
with that. I agree.
But I also agree, if there's the elements and you're a pass-first team, I don't know about that. So both have Lombardo West winning. Myself over East St. Louis. Eric over Lincoln Way East. Should be a good one. Looks like we could have some killer semifinals in 7A. But at the end, we both agree the Hilltoppers and Lombardo West are the champions. Come back next time. We'll be previewing the last class, 8A, here at Illinoisprep.com.